So I just spent 3 days shooting with the Luna. I brought it on 3 jobs that I had, and then shooting BTS. I was shooting the clients just to see how it would look, so I could bring it into the computer and kind of make a comparison and show you guys how it would compare to like the full frame cameras and how it works. But I got home, I'm dropping the LUTs onto the footage, and I noticed that they're not hitting the same way that they did before when I made them. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are they like extra contrasty, extra saturated? And I just realized that if you if you switch to standard color profile and you add the contrast and you add the sharpening and you add the saturation, it transfers over to the log footage. So I remember like during the week, I was shooting some gym contact for my buddy, and I switched over to just the standard profile so I can actually like just airdrop it to him and he can have the footage. And I didn't like register that it was gonna transfer over to the actual log footage. So let me show you something, right? So I got the footage here I'm transferring over. Let me take it off so you guys can see. But yeah, so here's the other camera. So if you go to log and you switch this to standard, right? And you go into the standard mode and you go over here to adjustment. So if you go to adjustment, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it. 2x. Let me see if I can do 3x. 3x. So if you change any of these settings right here, so if you change saturation, if you put this up all the way, if you put the sharpening up all the way, let's say you want to be bold and you want to do contrast all the way. Well, if you switch all these settings over and then you go back to, let's say you go to standard and you want to go shoot back in your normal iLog footage, so you go hit a log, right? Check this out. So you shoot in your log. Look how contrasty, look how the image looks. It just looks super contrasty, super dark on my end. But let's just record a clip so you can see this. So I'm gonna record a small clip, see what happens. Boom. And this is the only way I figured this out. So if you go back over here to that clip I just filmed and you go into the metadata, look what this thing says here. Look, I got high sharpness, contrast is set to 5, saturation is set to 5. So any changes that you do inside of the actual like adjustment transfers over to any of the profiles. So even though it's grayed out, so look at this, if it's grayed out, see, I have no access to this. It says not supported. Even though it's not supported, I changed it in the standard profile, so it stayed with the standard profile setting. So if I go back here and I go back to standard, and now let's say I want to get rid of all of that. So I want to go here and I go to adjustment, and now I want to bump saturation all the way down, and I want to bump sharpness all the way down. And this is how I build the LUTs that I'm using for the Luna Ultra. So I'm like, when I'm getting home, everything's like overly saturated, overly contrast. So everything's on low now, and then I go back to standard, and then I go to log. All right, so we're in log. That looks normal to me. So I record a clip, what's going on, Luna Ultra, boom. I go to the metadata, look what it says there. Sharpness is to low, contrast is set to 1, saturation is set to 1. And I also tested it here on the iPad. So this is how I figured it out, because I'm like, why are the LUTs looking so like too much, like overly? So look at this. I don't know if you guys can see, but same LUT. One is overly saturated, overly contrast. The other one is not. And yeah. So if you have some LUTs that you're using and you already use them on like if they built them around contrast being all the way to 1 and saturation being all the way to 1, that's probably what it is. But I just want to show you that the settings that you put on standard gets transferred over to iLog. So if you have some settings adjusted for standard, just make sure you switch them back when you go to iLog so they don't transfer over and mess up your whole grade if you have like some kind of LUT that you're using to grade your stuff. But yeah, Just want to share that with everybody. But yeah, I got a whole couple of videos I'm putting together, but that's it for today.